Hey there, welcome to Professor Purl, a YouTube channel about knitting. I'm Nicole, and today we're going to talk about the Love Note sweater. I love the Love Note sweater. It's designed by Tin Can Knits and comes in a wide range of sizes. I've made 6 Love Note sweaters, 5 adult ones and 1 child size one, and I'm going to share some Love Note love today by sharing the Love Notes I've made. The very first Love Note I made in a size medium. I made it nearly to pattern and very cropped. Well, cropped for me. And so I typically style this with like a high-waisted skirt or over a dress. So I said nearly no modifications because the one modification I did do is I did knit a few more rows. Like you start with a provisional cast on and then you do the neckline. I did knit a few more rows, and I noticed a lot of the Love Note sweaters have kind of a wider neck, and I wanted it to be closer in. And so this is a variation that I'm wearing of the Love Note, and I also did it to have a closer neckline. So the neckline on this is a little wider than this one, but it's closer in. So yeah, I knit this with 1 strand of single, like a single, so no apply to it yarn, and 1 strand of mohair. Both of the bases, the single and the mohair, were Julia's lean yarn from Firefly Fibers in Wisconsin. And so in person it's got like a really nice sheen with like all the silk, and because of the singles, it's just a super nice drape. And yeah, sleeves, everything knit, other than the neck, everything knit to pattern. So when I was done with this sweater and started wearing it a lot, I wanted to make another one immediately. Just side note, this sweater I knit like 3 or 4 years ago, and you can see it doesn't really have a lot of pilling going on, so shout out to that yarn. And it's kind of surprising because it's such a soft yarn too. Okay, so that was my first Love Note, and kind of knit it in a neutral for me, this mauvey color. So I knew the next one I wanted to be more oversized. This does have positives, but I want something that had a lot of positives for me. And I wanted it maybe a little bit longer so I could like French tuck it in like a pair of jeans. And I knew I wanted it brighter. So my second Love Note is this very, very bright one that I made. And this one is also made with almost no modifications. And I'll explain the modification I did make, which was actually a mistake. And so, yeah, so I knit this a size large instead of a size medium. So you can see this one's a bit wider. So this one has a lot of positives on me. And then I knit it longer so I could kind of tuck it into my jeans. So I typically, when I style it, I do not wear this one with skirts or dresses. I always wear it with like a dress pant or a jean. That's how I style this one. I did not modify the neckline. I did let this one have a wider neckline, so you can see the difference in like this neckline. So this is the neckline to pattern in a size large. The one I'm wearing here is also a size large, but I modified the neckline to come in more. And so you can just see like the difference, right? So yeah. So the modification to this one that was unintentional is I read the directions wrong. Like I was reading directions, and I don't know if you've ever done this. I was reading like maybe the neckline directions or some other part of the pattern when I should have been reading the sleeve. And so basically like the sleeves usually have kind of some rapid decreasing that happen at the end, and that didn't happen. So these sleeves like don't come in. Like see how the sleeve kind of comes in? This is like how the pattern's written, to kind of come in like this and have a little poof. And this really doesn't. It's almost like straight. And so that's a modification. It was unintentional, but I actually really like the way it looks, so I left it. On both of these sweaters, so there's a design feature in the pattern that you can choose to just knit it straight, or there's extra like instructions for some short row shaping for the end, and for the back side. And I will say in every single one of my love notes, I've done the short row shaping instructions. So that creates a longer back than front. You can see that. Okay, so after I knit 2 love notes with lace, I thought I want to knit a love note without lace. And then I had knit 2 love notes with like a fingering weight yarn and a mohair. So like, oh, I didn't mention the yarn on this. I used a fingering weight yarn. It wasn't a single, it was a sock yarn. So I used a sock yarn with a mohair, both coordinating. And this was yarn that I don't remember the colorway name, but it was a chartreuse color from Les Moutons Rouge Knittery. They have a house base called Red Sheep, and so knit out of that. So yeah, so because I had knit 2 with fingering and mohair, I thought it would be fun to do something different. So for my third one, I used a slub fingering and a surrey instead of a mohair. And I did no lace. So it kind of turns out like this sweatshirt. So this one was really actually almost knit to pattern, except for just one tiny modification. So I did the neckline as directed in the pattern. I did the sleeves as directed in the pattern. I did this, like, as you can see, kind of this high-low hem as directed in the pattern, but there's no lace. And since I was knitting it oversized for me, I wasn't worried about the row gauge. And what I mean by row gauge is like how long each of your rows, like how many rows fit into 4 inches. So for instance, lace typically stretches out more than stockinette. So that can affect your garment when you're knitting it. So you could feel a little nervous if you're switching out lace for just stockinette, if you're knitting something just to fit your body just snugly. But I knew that I was knitting this oversized, so I knew it wouldn't really matter too much. So I took however many repeats were there for the lace and just replaced it with stockinette. So if my pattern called for 20 rows of lace, I just swapped out for 20 rows of stockinette. That's it. And it's really cool because it's just like a sweatshirt, which is really fun. Okay. At that point in time, I had knit 3 love notes, and after I had knit 3 love notes, somewhere in the time range, I ended up starting a YouTube channel and then hosting my very first knit along on my channel, which was the Love Note Love Knit Along. I can't remember what I knit first or like what order, but I do know I knit my daughter, she's 5 now, but she was not 5 when I knit this for her. I knit her a love note. So this is a couple years old and it still fits her. It doesn't fit her the same because when I knit it for her, it was very oversized, and this is not very oversized on her now, but I did make her a love note. It's a wee little one, so cute. And I knit it exactly to pattern. And I knit this out of special yarn. We went on a trip to Sweden. It was Matilda's very first international trip. We were in Umeå, Sweden, and there was a yarn store there, and I bought some fingering Isair wool. It was like a peach color, peachy pink color. And I came back home and knew I wanted to use it for something special. And then realizing that, I ended up purchasing some coordinating mohair, also from Isair. And it looks in the camera like it has this little marled look, but it does have that look a little bit in person. Maybe not as high of a contrast as it is on the camera, but so cute. So then that was my 4th love note. In that same knit along, I also started another adult one for me. And as you can see, I had done a lot with a fingering held with like a fuzz, whether it was fingering and mohair, fingering and surrey. But so for my next love note, which was my 4th adult one, 5th overall love note, I knew I wanted to use a commercial yarn. that was just like DK weight. So if you're not into fuzz, you can just like knit a love note that's just DK. And so I wanted to do a commercial yarn, so I did a Rowan yarn that I had purchased from the Mouton Rouge Knittery. And then I was thinking about like, how did I want to modify the pattern for this? Well, I think I was more like, do I want to do it lace or no lace? And I felt like doing lace, but I just wanted to do a different lace motif. So I went onto Pinterest and I just searched for lace patterns that are, well, I'm going off my memory. Let's say that I don't know if this is true or not, but let's say that the Love Note lace pattern repeat is 12 stitches. I don't know if it is. Let's say it's 12 stitches. Then I went onto Pinterest and I searched 12 stitch lace motifs. And so then I just replaced the Love Note lace with my own lace pattern. And I knit it precisely to pattern. I also made a mistake on this one. I pretty much always go down a needle size or 2 for ribbing on every single sweater pattern I knit. The Love Note sweater also tells you to do that, but I think I was just like in a hurry and I forgot to do that. So the bottom's a little flared. So I could rip it out and redo it, but I've just hardly worn the sweater, and I don't know if I pretty much always wear my hand knits, and I love wearing my hand knits, but this sweater is probably the least worn sweater in my wardrobe. So I'm just something on my mind, just thought I'd share. I do think it's my least favorite Love Note I've made. And I like that I tried switching out the lace motif, and I don't mind the way this looks, really. Yeah, it could be the color, it could be the yarn, I don't know, but I don't really wear it a lot. All right, let's talk about the last Love Note I've made. So the last Love Note I've made is the one I'm wearing here, and I made it with no lace and added some embroidery here and on the bottom. The other modification I made is I created a folded over collar here. So I knit however many rows the pattern said to knit the collar. I knit double that and maybe 1 or 2 more rows, folded it under and knitted it into my stitches. So I created this kind of like puffier. I really like this color a lot. I think I might do this again actually. And then I didn't modify the sleeves at all or the hem. I will say I did a different bind off than, I mean, it just says a stretchy bind off, I think. So I did a tubular bind off on the bottom here and then Italian bind off on the sleeves, just so I could have it on a garment to show the difference between the two in case there's a knitting nerd around that I can knitting nerd out with. And yeah, I really, really, really loved the sweatshirt vibe nature of this one, and so I knew that I wanted to make another one with no lace. And honestly, I want to knit another one with no lace again. I'm going to knit my 7th Love Note coming up here like this month, and I just don't know if I should do a lace one or a no lace one. I have my yarn. It's white mohair and then some white with like really like kind of neon flecks, but I just like lace or no lace. I don't know. If you have an idea, like if you have a suggestion, I'd love to know, but I'm really torn. I keep going back and forth because I truly love both for different reasons. I feel like they have a different look, but I am very into like the like sweatshirt feel that these give. I love it so much. So those are my 5 Love Notes. Oh, did I talk about the yarn for this? I don't think I did. I don't even think I talked about the yarn for this either, so I'll just quickly do that. So the yarn for this is from Purls and Postulates, knit in the Math Education colorway, which is, she actually sells, Jessica from Purls and Postulates, these sock sets to educate about women in STEM or STEM careers, so science, technology, engineering, math. And so she designs a colorway for different careers and then highlights a woman in that career. And this is my colorway, Math Education Professor. And then the mini skein that came with that sock set was called Numberline. So when that came out, I was like, I need to buy a sweater's quantity of this for the love note. And so I knew I wanted to make a love note out of this. And so the yarn for this I purchased at the Naughty Lamb in Forest Grove. The Naughty Lamb is part of the Rosie Yarn Crawl. It's one of my favorite stores. And the yarn was a Surrey that was a pale pink, and the pale pink was Lamb Goods Fibers, which is their house base. And then the slub yarn was neon variegated. And so I understand this is still neon and has a lot going on, but like the slub or the Surrey really kind of toned down the variegation. That's kind of the fun thing about mixing like a fingering in a mohair or fingering in a Surrey, is you can like take a variegated yarn and kind of like tame it down, or it can make your tonal look totally different depending on like what kind of mohair you put with it. So I've made 6 love notes, 5 adults and 1 child. So here's my little stack of love notes, and then this is my adult. So these are my adult ones, and this is the child one I've made. So I've made 6, and I'm on my journey to 7. I would really like to say I've made 10 love notes someday. Oh, I have one more love note to show you, but I did not knit it. My mom knit it, but I just think it's funny because it's like another love note in our house. So my mom knit this for my 5-year-old Matilda, so it's bigger than the other one. So whatever size I knit Matilda in here, you can see it only has like 1 or 1.5 kind of lace repeats. And then this one has like 2 or 3, I don't know. And my mom did longer sleeves on it. Doesn't look like it has the same kind of it doesn't look like it has the decreasing that, like on my green one where I didn't decrease, that's how this looks. Anyway, this yarn is also a pink and purple variegated, and I think my mom held a similar variegated mohair with it. This yarn was from the Mouton Rouge Knittery as well. So yeah, so Matilda has 2 love notes already. One for me, one from Grandma. So let me know if you're gonna knit a love note and like what your next one's gonna be. Well, actually, like, have you knit a love note yet? Let me know. Maybe you haven't knit a love note yet. I do think it could be a really good first sweater. If you're intimidated by the lace, just don't do the lace. Though I would say if it's your first lace project and your first sweater, that's kind of cool. And it's a really good first lace motif because within the motif itself, there's not a lot of increasing. So it's just like, I feel like a really good chart, like for a first chart to do for lace. And yeah, so let me know if you've knit a sweater or if this will be your first sweater, if you're knitting a love note. And if you've knit more love notes, let me know. I know some people have knit like 13, 14 of these or 2 of these. Like, that's so cool. I'd love to hear about it, like what kind of version you did of yours. And yeah, if you want to have more of a conversation about love notes together, there's going to be a love note love knit along on this channel, and you can access that in 2 ways. So one way is on Ravelry. There will be a love note love thread and for chatter, and there will be a love note love finished object thread. We can also chat on Instagram, so you can tag me if you want, or use the hashtag, and our hashtag will be love note love cal23. Now, for drawing prizes from Instagram, it's kind of a journey because Instagram kind of changed the way, I don't know, the hashtags work, and so I don't always see every single hashtag, which makes it hard to pick prizes. But if you don't use Ravelry, that's the only way to participate, really. So yeah, but you can also participate in both ways, both on Ravelry and on Instagram. Let me know if you're planning on participating. I am. I have my yarn. I need to wind it up still. And yeah, it goes October 1st to December 1st. But I wanted to be kind of like not stressful to you. So October 1st to December 1st, here's why. I think that's enough time to knit a whole love note for all the sizes in the pattern. Because the way that works is you could have 2-ish weeks for this, and then 2-ish weeks for the yoke, and 2-ish weeks for the body, and then a week per sleeve. or like any other kind of formulation of that. And there's some grace in there too with that. So I think it's possible to knit a whole love note in there. I wanted to finish up before December 1st because it'll be like holiday knitting time at that point in time for me. And because it's casual, I wanted to welcome whips. So if you already have like a love note on the needles, bring it on in. That would be awesome. I know for me, sometimes I'll like start something and it doesn't mean I don't love it, but it's set aside for whatever reason. Like this sweater, I cast this on the second annual Love Note Love Knit-Along, but I didn't finish it till this summer. And that's because I started it for the Love Note Love Knit-Along, which was awesome. I got it on my needles, got it going. I got distracted by holiday knitting, and then it was like the summer when I finished it. But I eventually finished it and I love it so much. So I just want to like honor those kinds of things that happen too. So anyway, let me know if you're going to participate. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you love the love note as much as I do. Bye.